Hello everyone, welcome to Officers Adda 24/7. My name is Amanjot and I am here to discuss a very important thing today, that is how to score more and how to simplify the topics. So first of all, a very welcome to Officers Adda 24/7, and also those candidates who have joined the session already, do let me know, is audio video both are okay, are we good to go? And as I can see, we are live. So let's start the session. So first of all, what is today's topic? Today's topic is related to key topics simplified for easy learning. How to simplify the topic that we will be able to have a easy learning about the topics. So first of all, let's start with the understanding of the subject. If we talk about the Indian economy, Indian financial system, as we already know that this particular subject covers 4 modules, A, B, C and D, and this is the distribution of units in the particular modules. So you can see maximum number of units will be in the module D, that is 17. The second maximum number of units will be in the module A, that is 11. The module C covers around 9 units and the module B covers around 8 units, and the total 45 units are available in your Indian economy and Indian financial system subject. Now this particular subject is related to two parts. First, Indian economy, and the second part is Indian financial system. If I talk about Indian economy, it is simply a subject that we have already studied in the school timing. Like we know there are two types of branches in economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics. And in 11th, 12th, you also have studied about microeconomics, individual books, and macroeconomics, individual books you have studied. Similar topics we have to cover under module A and B. If I talk about module A and B, we have to understand the economy. We have to know like how economy works and what economy actually is. So when it comes to the module A and B, it covers the subject that is Indian economy. And in Indian economy, we have to understand how economy works. As I have already told you, this economy is what? This economy is a system. This economy is what? This economy is a system in which production, distribution, consumption will be done of goods and services. So what we are going to do in this particular subject, we are going to understand that this particular system, how this system works. We have to study like how this system works. So it's very obvious when you are studying economics, when you are studying module A and B, Indian economy of your IFS, it means we have to understand that how this particular economy is working. So we have to understand here about the circulation of currency and how we are going to understand about the circulation of currency with the help of monetary policy. Like monetary policy, as you all know, this policy formulated by Reserve Bank of India, that's the central bank of our country. And when we talk about monetary policy, this policy includes the certain types of reserve ratios and the policy rates. By increasing and decreasing those policy rates, RBI make it possible for the economy to have a money supply. And everything else depends on the money supply, because if you have more money supply, more demand for goods and services will be there. According to this demand of goods and services, the supply will be fluctuating, because in the demand and supply we have inverse relation. So if the demand is increasing, the supply is definitely going to decrease. And if demand is decreasing, the supply will increase, because they have an inverse relation between them. So all the transactions of economy depends on the money supply transaction in the economy. And this money supply will be maintained by RBI under the monetary policy, right? So after that, the whole economy, after seeing this, that we have a monetary policy that will be formulated by RBI, in which money supply will be increased or decreased by RBI, and that's going to change the demand and supply of economy. And this demand and supply is known as the market forces. These are the market forces, and all the rest other things in economy depend on these market forces. Whether we talk about the goods and services demand by the customer, whether we talk about the money supply demand, whether we talk about the foreign exchange currencies, or we can say the foreign currency, everything depends on this market forces. And that's what Indian economy relates to. So in the Indian economy subject, or I can say the module A and B, we have to understand how the economy works, okay, or how the system works, because economy means a simple system in which production, distribution and consumption of goods and services will be done. So this is what we have to study in the module A and module B, right? So module A and B are the part of your Indian economy. So let's discuss this first, module A and B. So if I talk about module A and B, it covers a lot of, it covers a lot of theoretical part. It covers what? It covers a lot of theoretical part. So this is the module A topics. First you can see an overview. We are talking about an overview of Indian economy. Now why we have to study this? Because we have to understand that at the time when Britishers were there, that is known as a British era, till present, how this economy worked. Okay, like if I am saying that right now, India is the fastest growing economy in the world. And yes, India is fastest growing economy in the world right now. So how we have achieved that particular step, how we have achieved this particular position in the world that we are the fastest growing economy. So to understand this, we have to know about an overview of Indian economy. It means we have to cover history here. What used to happen at the time of British era, after that what happened, we have to divide the study of Indian economy in the phases. Like pre-independence era is there, post-independence is there. After that, the liberalization period is there. In the year 1991, we have done the liberalization. So that liberalization period we have to cover. Post-liberalization period after 1991 till 2007-8, we have to cover post-liberalization period. Then from 2007-8, we have studied the global financial crisis. This global financial crisis was there in the year 2007 and 8. So we have to study about the post-global financial crisis phase. And then we have to study the COVID phase. Also, because we know COVID pandemic was there since the 2020 starting, or we can say from the end of 2019. So that become a certain kind of duration that impacted Indian economy in a huge way. That's why we can say this is one of the major shock in the Indian economy. So the major shock or major issues Indian economy faced was the first one that we have seen at the time of, at the time of LPG, or when we have introduced the LPG policy. This was the first major shock for Indian economy. The second major shock for Indian economy was the global financial crisis duration in the year 2007 and 8. And the third major shock for Indian economy was the COVID pandemic, because it has been said by RBI, because of this COVID pandemic, Indian economy is going to recover from this impact, or from its issues and all, till 2034-35. So right now we say these things like Indian economy is the fastest growing economy in the world. Indian economy have evolved from the COVID-19 pandemic, but still the proper growth that we used to have before COVID-19, we are going to achieve that particular growth after 2034-35. This has been said by RBI. Okay, so we are still in the loss because of the COVID pandemic, and we are going to suffer till this particular period. So this is what we have to cover under the overview. So I think you are now very capable of understanding what the overview of Indian economy means. Now we have to cover the sectors of economy. Now there are three sectors in our economy. First is primary sector, that is also known as the agriculture sector. Then we have secondary sector, that is also known as a industrial sector, manufacturing sector. And the third one, we have a tertiary sector, that's a service sector. So if I talk about these three sector has been divided by CSO, Central Statistical Office. This Central Statistical Office in 2019 merged with National Sample Survey Organization, or we can call it office, and after merger it became NSO. Okay, but if I talk about the sectors of economy, CSO divided Indian economy into these three sectors. Okay, and why CSO done that? To measure the statistical data of the country. As we know, the national income first time in the country was estimated by Dadabhai Naoroji. And after that, the first legal attempt, or we can say the first official attempt to calculate national income was taken by Government of India after independence. And then National Income Committee was formed in the year 1948-49. After that, in 1951, it has said that now CSO will calculate all the statistical data of the country, whether it is national income, per capita income, GDP, GNP, unemployment, employment, population, etc. So that's why to measure the national income, CSO has divided the sector into the economy into three sectors: primary, secondary and tertiary. Achha, I want to ask one question from all the candidates who are here live, that let me know which particular sector contribute more in the national income of a country. Let me know. Which particular sector contributes more in the national income of a country? Is it primary sector, secondary sector, or a tertiary sector? Primary, secondary, or tertiary? Which sector it is? Maximum contribution in the national income is from primary, secondary, or tertiary sector. So we can't say that Indian economy is an agriculture-based economy, or Indian economy is a industrial sector-based economy, or a tertiary sector-based economy, because if you want to call an economy that this economy is dependent on a particular sector, you require two major things to be there. The first, national income of a country, that is 50%, should come from a particular sector, plus the employment generation. Apart from that, employment generation around 50% should come from the single sector. If let's say, for example, agriculture sector gives us 50% of the national income and 50% of the employment generation in a country in a financial year, it means India is an agriculture based economy. But India, it is not. India used to be the agriculture based economy, but now it is not, because around only 48% contribution is there from the agriculture sector to provide what? To provide you the employment opportunities. And if I talk about the tertiary sector gives or controls, or we can say it has around 56% contribution in the national income. So there is no particular sector which contributes 50% for these two factors. But still, maximum national income comes from what? Tertiary sector. So this is the sequence of contribution in the national income of a country. First, major contribution comes from tertiary sector, that is service sector, second from secondary, and third from primary sector. So this is what we have to study in the second chapter of, or we can say second unit of your module A, sectors of Indian economy. Then economic planning in India and Niti Aayog. If I talk about economic planning, it is started by Planning Commission from the year 1951, because 1951 Planning Commission was formulated in the year 1950, but it started making 5-year plan from 1951. From 1951 till 2017 we had 12 5-year plans. After that, Niti Aayog started its planning. Okay, so 2017 onwards Niti Aayog started its planning, and Niti Aayog was established in 2015, 1st of January. But it started its own planning from 2017 onwards. And Niti Aayog do not introduce the 5-year plans, it introduced the 15 years vision document. Out of that 15 years document, to achieve that document or to achieve that vision, 7 years national development agenda will be done, and then the 3 years action plan will be made. So planning of Niti Aayog is kind of a 15 years vision document, 7 years national development agenda, and the 3 years action plan. Okay, now this is all we are going to discuss in the chapters when we are going to study. So that's what we have to cover another third unit. The fourth unit talk about the priority sector and MSME, but it talks about the role of these two. So if we talk about priority sector, these are the important sectors of the country which needs improvement, which needs development. And there are 8 sectors that has been defined by RBI. Those are known as priority sector, and in which RBI gives us targets and sub-targets. It means RBI gives bank the target and sub-target to achieve the PSL targets. Now, MSME, micro, small, medium enterprises, according to the National Statistical Office, by the year 2015, MSME will be covering more than 50% of the GDP of a country. So these two are the part of Indian economy that is going to grow the economic growth and as well as the economic development of a country. So what role they have played in the development of Indian economy, or what they are playing right now, that will be discussed in the unit 4. Unit 5 talk about the infrastructure. Infrastructure is simply, when we talk about infrastructure, so many types of infrastructures are there. Housing infrastructure is there, roads, building, bridges, that's a social infrastructure. So social infrastructure is simply the kind of infrastructure what we are making for each and everyone to use. And that infrastructure has been divided into 2 categories. There is a hard infrastructure and a soft infrastructure. And this is what we have to cover under the unit 5. Then unit 6 talks about the globalization, and with the globalization I am going to discuss the economic reform also. So these 2 chapters are related. Economic reforms are the new reforms, the new changes that has been done in the economy, and it happened in the year 1991. It happened in which particular year? It happened in the year 1991, and this economic reform is known as liberalization, privatization and globalization. Okay, now this economic reform covers the globalization as well. First, if I talk about liberalization, it is the process to remove rules, regulations, restrictions from the different sectors of the country. Before liberalization, there used to be the license Raj, permit Raj and quota Raj. Okay, it means if you want to start a business in India, you have to go through a license restriction, permit restrictions, quota restrictions. So after liberalization, it has been said that liberalization made license, permit and quota Raj a thing of a past, like it used to happen in the country. It used to happen when you wanted to start a business. Okay, but now if we talk about LPQ, LPQ is simply a way that has been removed. This LPQ stands for license Raj, permit Raj and quota Raj. This has been removed after the liberalization. So liberalization is simply a process in which all the restrictions and rules have been removed. Then if we talk about privatization, LPG is this economic reform. If I talk about the privatization, privatization is a process in which 51% or more than that shares from the government entity, from the public sector undertakings will be sold to the private sector. So when the ownership of a public sector undertaking has been taken by the private entity or it has been transferred to the private ownership, that process is known as privatization. So in the privatization, we made Indian economy a mixed economy where government and private both are working together in the economy. Now the last is G, that is globalization. Globalization made Indian economy an open economy. It means a kind of economy where there is no restrictions on the export-import of goods and services. You made Indian economy open, it means the Indian economy can trade with any other country in the world. Whatever you want to export or import, you can do that. No restrictions from the side of government of India is there. That's a globalization. And what are their impact and etc. we have to cover. Now, as we know, our economy is globalized now. Because of the globalization, our economy is open now. So this open economy related to foreign trade policy. So when we opened our economy, when we made Indian economy open economy, or I can say when we started linking the Indian economy with the world economies, with the cross-border transaction, etc., we needed a particular policy for that. Because if you are doing export-import, that's related to the foreign trade. Foreign trade means the trade between two countries or among the countries, that is a foreign trade. If you are selling goods to abroad, that's an export. If you are purchasing goods from abroad, that's an import. So when you are doing export-import, you need a certain rules regulation. You need a certain guidelines that has to be fulfilled by each and every exporter and importer in the country. And that's why the foreign trade policy was introduced. And this policy will be formed for the 5-year duration. Okay, then we have foreign investment and economic development. Foreign investment are of multiple types. Like you have FDI, you have FII, you have FPI, you have GDR, you have ADR and ECB, etc. All these are the foreign investment ways. And economic development, when in the country growth plus welfare both are there in the economy, that is known as economic development. Let me tell you how to calculate economic development. Economic development is simply when there is economic growth plus economic welfare. Now what is this? Economic growth when there is an increase in production of goods and services. I am writing in short, but I am explaining the full forms also. So do focus on my words. So economic growth means increase in the production. When the production of a country is increasing, that's economic growth. It means GDP is increasing. Okay, and because of this increment in the GDP, if because of this you can see the positive changes in the country, because of increase in the GDP, if you see positive changes in the economy like employment increases, like poverty reduces, like infrastructure development, etc. Like living standard, high living standard is there. If you see these kinds of positive changes in the economy because of the increase in the GDP, that is known as economic development. So for economic development, you need to have more goods and services produced in the country. Plus, with that particular production, you have to have what? The positive changes in the economy. It can be high living standard of people. It can be increase in the employment generation facility. It can be reduce in the poverty. It can be infrastructure development, etc. So that's the economic development. And that we have to cover under the 7th unit. Now, the 8th unit talk about climate change. Now climate change, what we now easily can see around us. Like in the month of May, we have seen so many raining in the multiple states. That's what a part of global warming, right? So every season used to have their duration, but now there is no such duration for any season. So that is related to your climate change. So climate change is simply when the temperature, hana, or changes, hana, that is known as climate change because of global warming and etc. And then we have a sustainable development goals. These are the goals that have to be achieved by the developing as well as developed countries, and these developing and developed countries have to follow or have to achieve the certain 17 goals, okay, by the year 2030. Now it has been said that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, major countries or almost all countries will not be able to achieve these 17 goals. So in the SDG, we have to just study these 17 goals, okay. Then after that, International Economic Organization, as we know, in the growth of the country, in the growth of any country, all the international organizations somehow contributed. Like in the year of 1991, India was at the situation, if IMF and World Bank haven't given the loan to the country, India might at that time will be known as a defaulter country, because there was a lot of loan on government of India that government have taken from other countries, from the international organization, etc. If we were not able to return that loan, our country could be a bankrupt country or can be a defaulter at that time. So if we talk about the development of country, obviously World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank, New Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, all these banks helped us. Apart from that, WTO, World Trade Organization, that has made the international rules and regulations for the trading. So that we have to cover here. In the 11th unit, issues facing Indian economy, what issues Indian economy is facing right now. You can see a lot of government schemes have been introduced, a lot of social welfare schemes are there, but still we are not able to eradicate the poverty. We are not able to create the employment, right? So why this situation is happening after doing so many things, after introducing so many things? Why we are not able to reduce the poverty? Why we are not able to provide employment to the people? Why we are not able to provide health care to the people? Because the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, sorry, not the Jan Dhan, Jan Arogya Yojana, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has been named as a Modi Care after the Obama Care policy. So this was, or this is still a, what we can call, this scheme is still a huge investment scheme from any government in the country, in the world. So that is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. But still, after COVID-19, World Bank has said that this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana failed at the time of pandemic. The scheme was not able, or the country was not able to provide services to the people for the healthcare benefits. So that's what we are seeing. What are the issues why we are facing that we have to discuss here. This is the module A. Now if I talk about, now you can see in the module A, we are just talking about how economy is going on. And now what problems we are facing, how we have overcome the problem, like economic reform is a part of overcoming a certain issue in the country. So that's what we have to study, like how the system is working or how the system used to be, that we have to cover. Now, in module B, the fundamentals of economics, like the microeconomics, macroeconomics, these are the branches of economics. If I talk about types of economic system, capitalistic, socialistic, and your mixed economic system. These are the system we have to cover, like how economy works. Microeconomics, when you study an individual person, let's say in this particular class, there are certain students who have joined this class. Out of these students, if I only talk about the need and want or the demand of individual person, that will be known as your microeconomics. And if I talk about macroeconomics, economy as a whole will be known as macroeconomics. Okay. Now, apart from that, we have demand and supply. This is the market sources or market forces you can call. Everything in the economy depends on the demand and supply of goods and services. And because these demand and supply is there, that's why we have to study economics. If we stop doing demand for goods or the services, we do not need the supply of them. In that situation, we do not have to study the economy. So economy is there because there is a demand and supply of goods and services from the side of public, from the side of companies, from the side of government, etc. Okay. So under the demand and supply graphs we have to cover, then money supply and inflation. So when there is a mismatch between these two, as I have told you, demand and supply have inverse relation. So whenever there is a mismatch in demand and supply, there can be the chances of inflation to increase in the country. There is a chances of deflation in the country. Okay, so that's what we have to study, like how money supply impact the country's economic situation because of the market forces. Then theories of interest. In the theories of interest, we have to study the LM and IS and LM curve. I can say that this chapter, out of all the chapters in module A and B, theories of interest, maybe chances you will find that this chapter is difficult because it covers IS-LM curve. So it is a pure, or I can say core economics that we have to cover. Now the business cycle, it covers 4 cycles. Like every business have their business cycle. If I talk about edtech companies, it's not like if I talk about the offices that are 24/7. So we have a time period in which maximum admissions will be there in the company. Let's say, for example, in the month of April, May, or we can say March, April, May. Okay. These are the 3 months, because in the May month you will have your JAIIB, CIB exam. So these are the 3 months. So April, March, April, May or June. So these are the 4 months for the company that where maximum business will be there. Then after that, October, September, October, November or December. These are the 4 months where there will be a maximum business. But apart from these 8 months, all the other 4 months, we do not have that much business. So this is a business cycle of our officers at 24/7 because maximum admissions are there. So according to that, we will be facing what? We will be facing the peak in the business, and our peak is the maximum point that you reach of the growth, and we will be facing trough in the business, and that's the lowest point you reach in the business. So that's what the business cycle is. Every business have their own cycle. Then how to maintain the money supply in the country, that depends on the monetary policy as well as somehow on the fiscal policy. Monetary policy formulated by RBI and fiscal policy formulated by Government of India. So in the monetary policy, by changing the policy rates, by increasing policy rates or by reducing policy rates, RBI control the money supply in the economy. And in the fiscal policy, by increasing or decreasing taxes of Government of India, that is a direct tax or indirect tax, government make it possible to have money supply in the economy, or to change the demand and supply of consumers. Okay, so that we have to study. Then the system of national accounts and GDP concepts. Now this is GDP, that's not GDO, this is GDP. Now, national accounts related to your national income, per capita income, as I have told you in the starting of the session, Dadabhai Naoroji was the first person who calculated the national income of country, or who estimated the national income in the country. After that, National Income Committee was formed. After that, CSO was introduced, and now NSO is there who calculates or estimates the national income for the country. And with that, we have to cover GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, the different aggregates of national income. Now, the union budget. Union budget is all about datas. In union budget, how much amount of fund allocated by Government of India for the Jan Arogya Yojana, for let's say Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, PM Kisan Scheme, Maan Dhan Yojana, etc. that we have to cover. So the module A and B of your subjects cover the economics chapter, and this particular economics chapters you will see, or you will find here, that these are the chapters which cover theory plus data to remember. Now theory you have to understand with the concepts. Do not try to mug up the theory. Like if you want to understand what is microeconomics, macroeconomics, everything have a definition in economics. So do not try to mug up the definition of the concepts. Try to understand them. So if you are studying a definition of national income, do not try to mug up the national income definition, but try to understand how the national income will be calculated. So the theory you have to understand with concepts, and the data you have to remember, or you have to memorize. This is you have to memorize, like what was the situation of Indian economy, or what was the contribution of Indian economy in the world trade or exports, or let's say national income contribution about from the sectors of economy, that you have to remember. As I have told you, from the primary sector we got around 48% employment generation. Okay, and from the tertiary sector we got around 56% of income. So these are the certain data you have to study in the module A and B. Clear? So I hope the module A and B, what you have to study and what these particular modules cover is clear to all of you. Now we are going to talk about the module C and D. Okay, now we are going to talk about what? We are going to talk about module C and D. This module C and D, these two modules cover your Indian financial system. And they are totally based on concept. Nothing is there, nothing data you have to memorize here. This is related to concept. And the maximum number of questions will be asked from these two modules because it is obvious they have a what? They have major syllabus. So if I talk about module C, first you have to cover Indian financial system overview. As we have covered the overview of your Indian economy. Similarly, we have to cover the overview of Indian financial system. Now, what is Indian financial system? Financial system is the system in which we exchange the funds among the persons who have surplus money and the persons who have deficit of money. So, the financial system is divided into two systems, that is formal financial system and informal financial system. So, formal financial system where the rules, regulations, rule book is there, certain code of conduct is there that you have to follow, where the regulatory bodies are there, they are guiding you what to do, what not to do, etc. That will be known as formal financial system. Now, what is informal financial system? Informal financial system like money lenders, like you take loan or you take funds from your family members, your relatives, your friends, associations, that's an informal financial system. So, that's we have to study. Like formal financial system in India started from 1770. Let me know which bank was established at that duration. In 1770, which bank was established? Let me know. So, from the formal financial system, we started from the 1770. So, this is what we have to cover, the overview, how Indian financial system evolved. Okay, and the bank was Bank of Hindustan. Okay, bank was Hindustan. Now, the Indian banking structure, we have to study what is the history of banking sector, the nationalization process and how many banks are there, the types of bank we have to cover in the Indian financial sector. Now, the banking laws, CRR, SLR, negotiable instrument, payment and settlement system, etc. The types of services bank can provide, that has been divided under these two acts. So, these two acts, certain important sections we have to cover. Then development financial institution like NABARD is there, SIDBI is there, Exim Bank is there, NHB is there. These are the development financial institution. They are the part of non-banking financial institution in our country. So if I talk about financial institution also divided into two categories. First is banking institution, in which all the banks that is regulated by RBI will come. And the second one is non-banking financial institution, in which all India financial institution, NBFCs and primary dealers will be covered, and that's what the development financial institutions are. Okay, so that we have to cover. These are the banks that has been introduced for a particular sector's development. Like NHB is working for the housing sector, SIDBI is working for the small industries, and apart from that, Exim Bank is working for the export-import of the country. NABARD is working for the agriculture and rural area. This is what the development financial institution. Now, microfinance institution, a very important chapter. Okay, so types of MFI and how the loan will be provided to will be covered. NBFCs, non-banking financial companies are there, and types of NBFCs are there, how they work, what are the function, etc. we have to cover. Insurance companies, ADA. ADA is the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, and ADA provides the certain services to the customers, to the public, to the individual person, to the businesses also, by giving them the insurance facility to eradicate the risk of losing their money or eradicate the risk of losing their assets or something, right? So that's what the insurance company is doing. They simply give them the funding after a particular risk. Now, Indian financial system regulators and their roles, we have different financial regulators like RBI, SEBI, ADA, PFRDA. These are the four major regulators of our country. They regulate different sectors of the country, and that we have to cover here, plus their rules. Okay, then reforms and development in the banking sector. So, LIBOR, London Interbank Offer Rate, replaced by alternate reference rate. That's one of the reform. Okay. The second, now RRBs, regional rural banks, they can participate in the money markets, all instrument. They can participate in CBLO, in call money, in notice money, etc. They can participate in the money market instrument also, as well as like we can talk about LAF, liquidity adjustment facility. So these are the reforms we are seeing. Under the DICGC, the insurance claim increase from 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So these reforms we have to cover under the particular chapter. This is module C of yours. Okay, now let's discuss about the module D. If I talk about module D is the biggest module. It has a lot of such topics. So you can see financial market, money market, capital market, fixed income market, foreign exchange market. These are the most important chapter. From these chapter, around 8 to 10 questions can be there. And now you can see, and this is I am talking as on the basis of the key takeaways of May 2023 paper. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, that these are the chapters for you in which we are talking about maximum number of questions can be asked. Clear? Then we have interconnectedness of market, how the markets are working, how they are interconnected. Because if in the international market you will see the prices of crude oil is increasing, that is going to impact me, that is going to impact you as well. Okay, that's what we are talking about. So the interconnectedness, that the merchant banking, again a very important chapter, derivative market, factoring, forfeiting, trade receivable. So these topics that I have highlighted from the purple color, these are the topics that is very important from the module D, and maximum number of questions has been seen from this. Apart from that, you can see the other topics from this particular module. You can see we have venture capital, lease finance, hire purchase, credit rating and credit scoring, mutual fund, insurance product, pension product, etc., etc. So out of these, mutual fund is again a very important chapter, because from the mutual fund and merchant banking only, if I talk about, around 5 to 6 question minimum was there. So the module D is the biggest module of your subject, and it covers maximum number of questions. So you can simply see around 35 to 40, 35 I can say, 35 number of questions can be seen from the module D only. So now how we have to cover? So I have told you what particular units covers. Okay, so I have explained you in very depth, in very detail, like what these modules means and what the particular module units are covering. So this makes you the syllabus of Indian economy and financial system easy to understand, because if you have an understanding of syllabus, you will know before starting a chapter like what you have to study in the particular chapter. So this is how having a certain knowledge about the subject, about the syllabus, makes it easy to cover whole syllabus. Now the sequence to cover the module is this. First of all, you have to cover module D. First priority should be given to the module D. It covers 17 units. Then the module C covers 9 units. Then module A 11 units and module B 8 units. And the total you have 45 units in the particular subject. So this should be your sequence to cover the subject. Okay, and trust me, these two modules going to cover around 60% weightage in the paper, and these two modules going to cover 40% weightage in the paper. Now, this is all on the basis of the May 2023 paper. So these are the key takeaways I am telling you. So do not focus on this thing like out of 100 I need only 50 marks. So I will only going to study DNC module. Don't do that. Each module, each unit in every module is very important, because you do not estimate and do not try to estimate this thing that whatever happened in the May 2023 paper, same thing going to happen in the October 2023. IIBF can change the pattern, because in the first paper of Indian economy and financial system, it was very tough. It was made tough by the IIBF. Now, so many bankers have complained about it and etc. written at so many platforms that the paper was very tough. So maybe chances it can become very easy now. But now, do not estimate anything. What we have to do, we have to cover each and every unit in every module. So yes, but this idea should be there so that we can manage our timetable as per the most priority topics. So this is what we have to do. Okay, and if you want to cover the whole subject in detail, I will let you know. You can go on the under 24/7 application. है ना, and you can see the new batch or the second batch Sankalp October 2023 second batch already launched, and it started with the AFM classes. Yesterday Niharika ma'am have taken the orientation class of your this particular batch, so do check this. Okay, this is the batch. How to enroll? Just click on the buy now option. When you click on the buy now option, this window will open, and here you have to enter a code, that is July 77. Okay, you have to enter July 77 and apply that. You will find here 77% discount. And for additional 1% discount, you can go to the application and use the coins. That will be additional 1% discount on this amount. So you can say prices has been increased. So what you have to do, make sure focus on enrolling soon, because the first class has been already started, or I can say the first orientation class of your subject have already been covered by Niharika ma'am yesterday, and the timing for the AFM is your 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. and this is how you can enroll in the batch. Okay, so this is the detailed information about everything I have told you today about the subject, how to cover that particular subject, and what you should do to get more score and to make your paper easy for you. Okay, this is what you have to do. Now, if you still have any doubt, okay, now if you still have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. I will check your comment and answer there. So let's end the session here, and thank you so much for joining the session. And do make sure before starting your preparation, you check this particular video and also share this particular session with your colleagues also who are preparing for the same paper, so that they will also know what they have to study and what they do not have to study. Okay, and this is how you can cover your whole subject, and try to give at least 1 hour daily to each and every subject, because all the subjects have a huge syllabus, as well as you required a proper time for the revision and practice also. Okay, so let's end the session here. Thank you all for joining the session. Last but not the least, if you are new to the channel of Officers Adda 24/7, then do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that all the upcoming sessions notification will be given to you. Okay, so thank you for joining the session and take care.